Hello everybody. This is Jake, the Projan, and welcome back to my second Eraserhead all weapons deck profile for the My Hero Academia card game. And well, before we actually get into the deck itself, I think it is very important that we go over our actual character card because this determines literally everything we do in the game. And I want to kind of go over the general game plan of this deck as well before like going in depth in the cards. Also, if you can tell, there is like a little current card thing up there, and so right now there should be, you know, a bigger, more higher resolution version of Eraserhead, so you can actually read the card while I'm talking about it, so you can see what he can do. First things first, he is a 7-hander with 19 health, so average for a 7-hander. And he has the all death and void symbols, and we are running the all one. And he has 3 effects. First is that at the beginning of the game you are going to send a copy of Erase from your deck to the discard pile. And then the second effect is that you can discard a card to either buff or reduce the speed of an attack by 2, and then add 1 copy of Erase from your discard pile to your hand. And then the last one is if you play an action card, either blocking or with just playing the actual action itself, you can commit them in order to draw 2. So the general game plan is mostly to just recycle Erase over and over so you can keep your opponent under lockdown. And I will go over to why Erase is a good card when we get to actions, but I generally want to keep this organized by card type. So I will do attacks next. For our attack lineup, we are running 4 copies of Create Capturing Net. This card's pretty good. It's the best starter in our deck as we don't have to sacrifice any of our combo enhances or have really that much prior setup to it in order to use it, and I really like that. And so this thing has 2 main effects. One is that it combos with a foundation to give this attack stun 2, and the other effect, the regular enhance, is to just build a foundation in your card pool. So overall, it's a pretty good attack. You can stun 2 and build a foundation with this thing, which that foundation can come in clutch. And then for our other starter, although this can also be disruption as well, we have 3 Binding Cloth Capture. This thing has, I think, 3 different effects. One is that it gets -2 difficulty if you play an action this turn when you're playing it. And then it has a combo enhance where if you play an action this turn, you can make your opponent discard a card. And the main effect that I use this card for, although the other 2 effects are pretty handy, is that this thing can just seal a foundation. So you can just negate an effect immediately. You can just say no, you can't use like your spooky or your release. You can't use that, and that's very powerful. That's our starter lineup. I'm gonna go over the lows, which this will also be the last low attack in the deck, and that is Binding Cloth Whiplash. And this thing, the only thing that it does is that it can combo enhance, make it not count towards progressive. So it's basically just a free attack to poke at your opponent. So useful for longer strings if you need to try and do those and get more damage in without worrying about progressive difficulty. And that's every low attack in our deck. And our other flow card is 4 Binding Cloth Assault. This is the only mid attack in our deck, and it's got 2 different effects. One of them is that if you play an action card this turn, this thing can get +2 speed. So you can basically make this gain 4 speed, 4 damage if you Sugar Rush on it, which I did do that once, and it was pretty alright, actually. I think it's a good play. And then the combo enhance, which all of our cards in this deck can trigger the other combo enhances. They either require like weapons or other combos. You can discard a card and draw 2, so just being able to refill your hand and keep going on your attack strings is incredibly powerful. Now for our main damage dealers, which are all our high attacks in the deck, we have 3 copies of Piercing Descent. Piercing Descent has a combo enhance where this attack gains 2 damage, and then if it deals damage, your opponent loses 1 health. I like this over Binding Cloth Dropkick because I don't have to discard, and also the fact that it technically deals 1 more if it's half blocked, but also just the fact it's a really good low block modifier as well. I needed low blocks in my deck, So dropkick was a high block. So I felt this card's just, I think, better in just about every way. And then the last attack in our deck is Total Erasure Binding. This card's nuts. Shame I always mill it or never get to play it. Its main enhance is that you can, I think it's, yeah, the main enhance is to shut off character abilities for the attack, which is pretty good. Also has a combo enhance to seal 3 rival foundations, which is very good. And then it has a powerful 3 as well, which means this is our main momentum out. So we can just, all that momentum we gain through poking, we can invest into a massive Total Erasure Binding, which easily can get to like 12 or 15 damage just on the tip of a hat. Especially if you have Sugar Rush, which can make things even more terrifying. Alright, now for the actions in this deck. We are running 4 copies of Erase. I mean, this is the card that directly synergizes with Eraserhead himself. So it kind of makes sense to actually be playing this card, and it is just our best defensive card in the deck. It's a 1 mid block that has Breaker 1, so you can block anything and put your opponent under Breaker. And it has 2 effects, which the first one is you enhance or move this card, and you seal a rival foundation or asset. It's alright. I don't use that effect too often, though, because I have other ways to trigger that sort of thing. I have multiple ways to stop foundations, but having one that's on demand, just pick it up and then use it, is pretty good. And then the last effect on this card is the Eraserhead response, so that means this can only be used when you actually are playing with an Eraserhead, which, I mean, our main character is Eraserhead, so we can use this most of the time. And that is, we can discard this from our card pool to stop our opponent from doing their character effect, which is basically just Total Erasure Binding, but as a response, which it's pretty powerful. I like went up against an Ochako 2 deck at one point, and I still lost the game, but I managed to live a lot longer just because I prevented them from picking up their attacks. So that is, just being able to shut off character effects is powerful. And then the other action that we play in this deck, I've mentioned it when I was talking about the Binding Cloth Assault, and that is 3 copies of Sugar Rush Power Up. Sugar Rush Power Up is, the second effect doesn't matter, we never use it, but that first effect is absolutely crazy. We just remove 10 cards from our discard pile and give our attack +2 speed and 4 damage. Makes our attacks hit like a truck. And that's all it really needs to do. It's powerful. And we can also trigger a lot of our cards with it because it's an action. That's all the action cards in the deck, and now we're going to get to the main meat of the deck, which is the foundations. This is where most of the cards are. And we have 4 copies of It Can't Be Fixed. This thing's just amazing spam. It's got a really good block modifier for high, which is pretty common attack zone. And if our foundation were to get committed, then we can flip this. Even if it's committed, it's playable while committed, we can flip this, build the top card of our deck face down. So basically this punishes our opponent for stunning us and gives us more foundations in the long run, which is pretty powerful. Next up, 3 Easily Excited is just another 0 diff, and I mean, it's actually okay. It gives a little extra speed when we play an attack. It's once per turn, but I mean, it's 1 extra speed, so I mean, you take what you can get. And then this last card, for our 0 diffs, 3 Rooftop Bandage. I only play this just for the numbers. Its effect is completely irrelevant. It's purely here just because it is a low block 0 diff under the all symbol. But that's all of our 0 diffs. There's 10 of them, just so we can more consistently get to the 4 or 5 foundation builds, which are pretty powerful. And when I went up against the Ochako 2 player, they built 6 foundations one game and 5 the other, while I built like 3 or 4, and yeah, that made things difficult to go through, and I lost. So being able to just more consistently build more foundations turn 1 is important. Anyways, for our 1 diffs, we have Late Riser. It has a response effect where if it's discarded, you can give your attack +1 speed, or you can give, well, you can give the current attack +1 speed or -2. So if you were to, Eraserhead boost your attack, you could give it +3 speed. And if it's your opponent's attack, you can -4 speed. And the other effect, which actually is pretty good, and is why I always prioritize building one of these things if I have it in my hand, and making sure I have at least one of it, is the effect where if you used an enhance, where if you used a combo enhance on your attack, then you can give it +1 damage. So if you were to use like create capturing net to build your well, not build, to give it stun 2, you can then give it 1 extra damage. And we don't have any other ways to boost our damage, so just having one of these is pretty powerful, especially since we can do long strings, so that 1 damage on each attack could become like 4 or 5. Then we have 3 Mediator. Mediator is pretty good. Its enhance is that you destroy it in order to make your opponent's attack lose 3 speed, and if you played an action this turn, you draw a card. So I will mostly wait for like blocking with erase or trying to use erase on something before I try to do any Mediator shenanigans, and that's just purely because I want that draw power to refund the card, because it's very important that we get our card advantage back when we're destroying our own foundations. Then I have 3 copies of Daunting Message. This is mostly just here for spam, but I mean its effect's not too bad. If you take like 10 damage, then you can just start committing your opponent's foundations, which is pretty okay. But I'm gonna try to replace them with Chivalrous Competitor, which I only have 1 of right now. Both the effects on this card are pretty decent. It's got an enhance to flip both players draw a card, but the main reason I play this is because of cards like Seizing the Advantage, which cause flips, and you can just flip this instead. And I want more Chivalrous Competitors just so I can make sure Seizing the Advantage doesn't screw me over. Anyways, that's all for the 1 Diffs. Let's go for the 2 Diffs. And we have 4 copies of Specialist of Sound. This is the only one I play 4 of in the main, and that's just because it is amazing speed disruption. Unlike cards like Heroic Lineage or even Mediator, which require us to wait for an enhance, we can just, as a response, commit this -3 speed, which is pretty powerful. And it can combo incredibly well with our next card, which can cause an attack's damage to go to 0 if it's got only like 3 speed. And that is Spooky. Although, Specialist Sound does have another effect that can sometimes come up where if you check it, as in if you mill it for a check, you can look at the top card. It can help you like determine if you can keep going, but this is the main thing that it can combo with, and that is Spooky. One thing I need to tell you before I go over the effect, this has the unique keyword, which means you can't play multiple Spookies in your stage at once. It's unfortunate, but I mean, we just have to deal with it. But the main thing this card is here for is that you can enhance, commit it, and swap the stats of your opponent's attack. So this is where the Specialist of Sound being a response really comes in handy, because you don't have to wait. You can just immediately reduce the speed. And if it's already at 0, then all you have to do is just commit this, and now it does 0 damage. And not too many decks boost damage specifically, or just not many decks can boost speed and damage super well at the same time. So using Spooky can just prevent absolute haymaker attacks from killing you. 3 Hero Killer. I need to utilize this card better. I keep on trying to get the Deadlock enhance, but people don't go into Deadlock that much. They know how powerful Deadlock abilities can be. But the effect to when your rival builds or unflips a foundation, you can remove this and remove that. Pretty powerful. They can prevent powerful foundations from being even played. Ones that can stop your plays. I mean, I've already mentioned Spooky a lot of times, but that's just because that's the main card I know. But even something like Release, which would be annoying, you can just stop that from being built and make your attacks more likely to hit. And then we have 3 copies of Villains Defeated. This card's pretty good. It's got 2 responses. One of them is only really useful against the Void matchup, but it's still good. And that response is that if you are forced to discard a card by your opponent's effect, during the enhanced step, you can flip this card and draw a card. But the main thing we use it for is just to prevent cards like Meteor Shower from hitting momentum. And that is that if you block after a blocked attack resolves, you can flip this to remove that attack and gain 2 health, which gaining health in a 19 health character is pretty good. I mean, we don't really have much of it to go around, so might as well recover some in case we half block. So it's overall a good card. Then we have 3 Challenging the Fakes. This card works incredibly well with Spooky because if the damage is like nothing already, this thing can reduce the damage even further and then also punish your opponent for trying to play more attacks, because it makes their next check to play an attack get -2. Although it doesn't end their turn if they fail the check, but they still have to lose that card if they fail it. So it definitely forces them to slow down, and is another reason why Spooky's amazing. And then the last foundation in our main deck is 2 Unexpected Hero. This is basically just another little sneaky reduced 3 speed, but gives +3 damage, and there was one time where that 3 damage did come up because my opponent boosted the speed massively, so I couldn't block it, and there was an extra 3 damage, and that if I just didn't use this card, then I would have lived. But most of the time, this card's basically just another Specialist of Sound of sorts, although you can use it on your own massively boosted attacks to get a little extra damage in. It is possible. Or if your opponent has no cards in hand, you can use this to get some extra damage. And I like that utility. So that's all for the main deck. The side deck, it's not got too much going on. I am missing 1 card for it, and that is the Plus Ultras, which I'll probably put that up on the screen right now just so you can see what kind of card I'm trying to go for. But here we are, 3 Night Watch. This thing has 2 effects. One, it also has the unique keyword, so you can't have multiple of it, but you can. When your opponent activates a non-character effect, you can remove an action from your discard pile to cancel it. It's pretty alright. This is primarily for like attack effect based decks, because sometimes the foundation ceiling isn't the best thing, and we can't afford to let their attack effects resolve, so we have to like sacrifice our races or milled sugar rushes to live. So that kind of matchup is where Night Watch comes in. It also has a Deadlock Enhance where you can, I think it removes itself. No, it flips. It has a Deadlock first form where you flip it in order to add, I think, just a combo attack. Yeah, any combo attack from your discard pile to your hand, which, guess what? Every single attack in our deck is a combo attack, so this literally just says, hey, add literally any attack you want to your hand. Then we also have just the 4th copy of Villains Defeated in here, just because having an extra Villains Defeated is nice for those matchups. And another Spooky, just in case I absolutely need to open this card, or if my opponent keeps removing my Spooky, then I can just keep on playing the card. And then this card is going to eventually be replaced with Plus Ultra, but I mean, Closing In's not the worst in the world. I just don't think I'd ever sight it in. But yeah, you just flip this, your combo attack gets 2 speed. It's okay. And then we run 2 Capture Evildoers. I love this card. It's got Breaker, which is alright. It's a 1 mid block, so this is basically a race, but it does some different things. The form effect is pointless. You just discard cards from your card pool, but you have to actively play this card when you have a clogged up card pool, and pass a check, make sure you don't have to commit any foundations, and then you discard the cards. And I think that the main effect here, the Enhance, is more useful. Just the ability to remove any momentum and then get free momentum yourself is pretty powerful, because again, this can also prevent stuff like Meteor Shower from doing their things in the face of momentum, and then we get free momentum for them trying to take advantage of that. So in those matchups, this card comes in. And then the last card on the side, I'm playing a Hyoko Jiro. So this is a nice little character that I can side deck into in case I need to be more aggressive in game 3. Because, you know, sometimes you just need to quickly kill someone in time. And the reason why I chose Kyoko Jiro over Eraserhead 2 is that even though Eraserhead 2 can take advantage of Erase's response effect, and also can like draw you cards when your attack is fully blocked, and can also negate an attack effect, unfortunately it sucks against Eraserhead 1, which is, you know, the character we play. So in the mirror, the mirrors can get very difficult, and Eraser 2 doesn't really help with that, despite being more aggressive. And also, Jiro doesn't require attacks only for boosting your speed. Eraserhead does. You need to constantly be. You have to play a massive attack string. Meanwhile, and this actually won me a game. I had total erasure binding, and I used the powerful effect after I played a bunch of foundations. Played it. It got too much speed for my opponent to block, and so I won that game. So I just think that Jiro being able to let you just make one attack just insanely fast is, I think, just overall better. And it can also dodge Eraserhead 1 because they can't use Erase's response when you try to attack before you like use Jiro. The only thing they can really negate is the enhance effect, which isn't really that important, and we don't use the charge response. So yeah, this character is pretty solid to side deck into. But I can understand if you want to play Eraser 2, especially if you're on Void where you can't play this character. But I mean, just having the spare option in the side is just way too valuable for me. So that's the deck itself. I kind of want to talk about just how playing this deck has felt, and also kind of just my thoughts on, I guess, the game in general. So this game is incredibly fun. I highly recommend it. I found it way more fun than Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of just gone on a downward spiral for me. It's not fun anymore because it's all about locking the opponent out of the game rather than actually playing the game. Universe is like lets you play with, you know, fast speed, but like it's not turn one deciding everything and locking your opponent out. It's got actual back and forth games, and there's also comeback mechanics built into it, like Deadlock, that I absolutely adore. And I just love this game so much. And also the fact that I get to play with as one of my favorite characters in My Hero Academia, Eraserhead, I really love that. And this deck is capable of just blocking everything just because of how much speed reduction that all has. And then just the fact that you can make your attacks hit like a truck in the all symbol is pretty powerful, but definitely don't discount the other symbols. Void is the main symbol people play for this deck, but I kind of want to do like a little video that like compares all three builds, and obviously I'm going to be biased towards all because that's the one I know the most and play the most, and it's my pet deck, but Void's hand destruction ability is insane, and Death can do some pretty scary things. But the all deck is pretty solid in just making it your best defensive character even better at defense while still being able to, you know, swing really hard. Because I managed to do 29 damage in a single turn with this character, which was pretty insane. I lost that game though because I didn't have like Sugar Rush or Piercing Descent. But I mean, it was still a pretty insane game. And I really love this character. He is very hard to play though, because one mistake and you die. You have so little health, and you, even though you can like potentially in the all symbols swing very hard, you don't really have the ability to do that. You can't always just do big combo strings. You mostly poke at your opponent to build up momentum and damage, and then as soon as you have a turn where you can, you know, go in for the kill, that's when you actually do that. And I'm trying to get better with this deck. The My Hero card game community has been incredibly supportive, and I just have to thank I just have to thank the community because it's just been such a positive experience playing this game. And I want to do some videos of actually playing the deck, but I want to kind of get my plus ultras first and maybe another chivalrous competitor so I can actually see the card, maybe. Because one chivalrous just ain't enough for me. I need to get at least two of it. But after that, I'll probably start, like, recording games. Maybe if I can find a way to get a better webcam so that you can actually see things going on. Or I could potentially find a way to make an overlay where, make an overlay where I can, have the game on the screen. I mean, I could potentially just use this overlay potentially, just like split it down the middle. Something like that. That could work. Anyways, that is all I really have to talk about. I am really excited to continue playing this game and just play more of Eraserhead. And I will definitely be like updating this deck list when I get, more chivalrouses and I get my plus ultras. And maybe if I find something to change in my side deck, I might even do like some kind of tutorial on how to play the game as well, just so that people can get into the game. Although I'm pretty sure that other people can do it better. but it's just something to help people get into the game. But mainly, I'm probably just going to be playing my Eraserhead deck and showing it off. Anyways, I hope you, one, enjoy the new style that I have for the video, and also I hope you look forward to me playing this game more, because I adore it. And until next time, this is Jake the Projan, and I am signing off. Goodbye.